the Ellen situation.
Yeah.
You know, people found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually a and then we're like, whoa, I can't believe it. And she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was. My buddy Greg, who was one of her writers, was like, she's a piece of shit. And he was like, she's a fucking monster.
Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly are teaming up, and their latest focus might really catch you off guard. It's Ellen DeGeneres like you've never quite seen her before. Behind that polished smile and those famous dance moves, there may be more going on than it seems at first glance. And they're not holding back. From surprising moments to some seriously uncomfortable ones, this takes you on a ride behind the bright, shiny image of one of America's most familiar daytime TV stars. This isn't just another celebrity story. It's a raw, unpredictable look that could make you rethink what you thought you knew about Ellen. The buzz is intense, the moments feel real, and the whole thing is hard to look away from.
It's like a beautiful name, Isis.
Ellen's rough.
Ellen is like an old...
But it's a rough one now.
It's a rough one now because she was running Abu Ghraib in the back of her show.
It led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person.
You know that feeling when someone's image seems just a little too perfect. So endlessly sweet, so consistently charming that it almost starts to feel a bit suspicious? That's Ellen DeGeneres in a nutshell. For years, she ruled daytime television as the smiling queen of kindness. The face of Be Kind, whose fun dance moves and warm personality made her a true favorite across America. But just when her story felt completely untouchable, two major media voices stepped in, Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly, ready to question everything together. They're pulling back the curtain, testing that polished image with bold curiosity, and asking what others wouldn't dare to say out loud. What's really behind that famous smile? The answer might just turn everything you thought you knew completely upside down.
It's so weird when you see, like, a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that's people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced. People that are like that all the time, she doesn't seem nice. It's very forced. And whatever, you're allowed to be a bitch, right? You're allowed to be a bitch. You're allowed to be nasty to people. You're accomplished. You're a comedian. You did the whole thing. What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage of your show where everybody's walking around afraid for their life, and it's like Abu Ghraib where they're hooked up to wires and they
Dogs
have like
around them.
If this takedown has you hooked so far, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Now, Joe Rogan, the no-nonsense podcast giant who built his career by asking the questions others avoid, and Megyn Kelly, the sharp, straight-talking journalist who cuts right through the spin. Together, they've created one of the most unexpected media moments in recent memory. Their goal? To test the limits of Ellen DeGeneres' carefully crafted image of kindness. What started as simple curiosity quickly turned into a swirl of uncomfortable truths, eyebrow-raising stories, and moments so awkward they're almost hard to believe. If you thought Ellen's brand couldn't be touched, think again. Because when Rogan and Kelly start digging, nothing stays polished for long.
I have a question for you on this. This is perfect for you. Because I'm seeing this week that there is an attempted comeback by somebody who did not cross one of those fateful lines of the misstepping on their sacred cows of gender or race or sexuality.
Yeah.
But she was said to be a nasty biatch, and that's Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
So her show got canceled after she had this testy exchange with Dakota Johnson, where something happened where Dakota said, I had this birthday party, and Ellen said, well, why didn't you invite me? You didn't invite me. And she said, no, I did invite you, Ellen. That's not what happened. And Ellen had blown her off and then tried to play the victim on the set with her. Anyway, it led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person.
Let's start with Joe Rogan, the human cultural X-ray machine. His podcast has become a go-to place for cutting through the noise, and not much slips past him, especially a public image that feels just a little too perfect. So when Rogan turned his attention to Ellen DeGeneres, often seen as the face of kindness, you could tell something was coming. Picture him, arms crossed, wearing that familiar skeptical look, quietly wondering how the always cheerful, dance-loving TV star lines up with the behind-the-scenes whispers that have floated around Hollywood for years. Rogan has a sixth sense for when a story doesn't quite match the vibe, and when that instinct kicks in, Things get very interesting very quickly.
All these staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said, you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice person. So she eventually got canceled, but now she's coming back. She's got a Netflix special. That's the right response.
Yeah.
She's got a Netflix special. And here's the capper. On the promo, and apparently there's now articles out about from people who have seen the preview, she plays the victim.
Rogan didn't come at Ellen with tabloid energy. It wasn't a cheap shot or a quick headline grab. What he did felt more like digging through layers, taking a closer look at a public image people had trusted for years. He pointed to industry whispers and behind-the-scenes stories that painted a very different picture from the bright, friendly persona everyone knew, describing a workplace that some said felt tense and uncomfortable rather than warm and welcoming. The same person who encouraged kindness and joy on screen was now being linked to an environment that didn't always reflect those values. But Rogan didn't stop there. He used her story to highlight a bigger idea about celebrity culture, where kindness and personality can be packaged and sold like a product. In his view, when that image becomes more about branding than reality, the gap between what people see and what actually happens can grow wide, and that's when the illusion starts to crack, raising a tough question. What happens when being nice is just part of the performance?
Have they made progress with the strike?
They're picketing right now, so I think it's the early stages. I would think it might take a little bit with this one.
When someone crosses the rider strike, that's some dirty shit. They cross the picket line.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody doing that yet.
I think Ellen did. I had a buddy of mine who was writing on Ellen. Everybody kind of knows now what she's really all about. And that's another one of those. Like, press. I'm so nice and I'm so sweet. Being behind the scenes.
You might think Rogan's deep dive was enough to shake things up, but that was just the opening act. Enter Megyn Kelly, coming in from a completely different but just as sharp angle. While Rogan zoomed out on the cultural story, Kelly went straight into the structure behind it all. She wasn't interested in celebrity talk or surface-level impressions. She focused on the empire built off camera, from business decisions and workplace complaints to legal issues that rarely show up in upbeat interviews or polished media appearances. Kelly didn't soften anything. She drew a clear contrast between Ellen's public message of "be kind" and the more pressured reality described by some former staff behind the scenes, pointing to a workplace built on deadlines, stress, and constant performance. According to those accounts, the on-screen smiles often came from an environment that felt very different off-camera, with concerns about staff treatment and internal issues allegedly being overlooked. Presented in Kelly's direct, no-nonsense style, the result was a picture that made the gap between image and reality feel impossible to ignore.
And she says, poor me. And she actually has the nerve to say that she was run out of Hollywood. This person
with $100 million in her pocket.
$450 million, according to Forbes. That's a low estimate.
Yeah.
Because so now she's out there saying, I was run out of Hollywood. She's actually reportedly complaining about how hard it is for women in America with the double standards.
Look at Oprah, how hard it is for her.
Oh, she's got, like 10 houses, Ellen DeGeneres?
Michelle Obama, look how hard it is for women in America. They're hurting.
They're going to let her back in, Rob, because she's a lesbian, she's a leftist, and she didn't hit one of their sacred cows.
Megyn Kelly didn't just challenge Ellen's public image. She also pointed to the wider media system that helped keep that image intact for so long. Her focus wasn't only on one celebrity, but on how mainstream outlets often avoided digging too deep, choosing instead to preserve a feel-good narrative rather than question it. Kelly aimed to bring those contradictions into the open, not for drama, but to highlight the more complex human reality that can sit behind polished branding. Paired with Joe Rogan's skeptical, no-filter breakdown of the public myth, the result was a strong 1-2 perspective, Rogan breaking down the image itself, and Kelly examining the machinery behind it. Together, it wasn't about personal attacks, but about asking tougher questions and looking past the surface. And beyond Ellen, the bigger takeaway is how easily we accept polished celebrity stories, even when reality is often far more complicated, reminding us to be more thoughtful about the narratives we choose to believe.
Look at it.
Oh, well, you know where that is too, right? The similar image to that, right?
No.
I know Jamie does.
What is it?
It's on the set of a famous talk show that's now not on anymore.
Oh, Ellen? Was that Ellen?
Yeah.
Really?
But just look at the temple and then look at the...
Let me see Ellen's background.
To be clear, this wasn't a petty takedown or some mean-spirited witch hunt. What Rogan and Kelly did felt more like pulling back the velvet curtain on a flashy magic show. The shine may have been real, but so were the smoke and mirrors behind it. Their approach wasn't about outrage. It was more like that brutally honest friend who stops you mid-bad decision and says, "Wait, are we really buying this?" It's the kind of truth that can sting a little, catch you off guard, and even make you laugh because of how human it all feels. So where does that leave Ellen DeGeneres? Her once untouchable Be Kind image has clearly taken some hits. The bright world of daytime TV she helped define now feels a bit more like a behind-the-scenes set than the perfect stage it appeared to be. Viewers may start seeing those familiar dance moves and smiling moments with more skeptical eyes. And maybe it pushes other public figures to realize that no branding built on kindness is completely safe from scrutiny. Because if this story shows anything, it's that no slogan, no matter how warm, can protect someone from reality forever. And what makes it even more striking is that Rogan and Kelly didn't need a big confrontation or public clash to shift the conversation. No viral fights, no dramatic interviews, just research, commentary, and the willingness to say what others avoided. In a world where drama usually drowns out substance, their quiet but sharp approach ended up speaking the loudest of all.
Let her back in, Rob, because she's a lesbian, she's a leftist, and she didn't hit one of their sacred cows. Nastiness, that's their bread and butter.
Well, I think everyone... I will say, like, the resentment, I think everyone should have a chance for reconciliation. I don't think Jesus exempted anybody. And so I do, while it does, because I have been allowed back in, but I don't hold any grievance and resentment. It's very important. And I would just say for Ellen, the resentment, you have to get over resentment to whatever addiction or addictive qualities happen, to get over it.
Here's the real kicker about the Rogan and Kelly combination when it comes to Ellen DeGeneres. It goes way beyond celebrity gossip. When two strong voices from totally different media worlds come together, whether intentionally or not, they break through the usual echo chamber where celebrity stories are either blindly accepted or quietly ignored. Joe Rogan, the counterculture podcaster who built his platform on long-form conversations with skeptics, fighters, and unconventional thinkers, has always leaned into raw curiosity and a refusal to just accept the polished version of a story. Then you have Megyn Kelly, the sharp, experienced journalist known for cutting through political spin and PR messaging with a direct, no-nonsense style. Put them side by side, and it's like dropping a rock into still water. You don't get gentle ripples, you get a full wave of reaction. Rogan brings the skeptical, "I'm not buying what you're selling" mindset, pulling apart the polished image and questioning the story underneath the smiles and slogans. Kelly adds another layer by digging into the documented side, reports, legal issues, and employee accounts, to build a clearer picture of what some say was happening behind the scenes. Together, they don't just retell a celebrity story, they challenge the way celebrity culture itself is packaged, presented, and believed.
Stephen Paddock, and do not ask me for sources, but Stephen Paddock.
Who's that?
He was the guy that shot up the Vegas concert. That was a very tragic thing. Listen to this. The only guy that saw Stephen Paddock alive, his name is Jesus Campos. He was a guard at Mandalay Bay. He got interviewed nowhere else. You know where he got interviewed in the beginning? Ellen.
Really?
Weird. And then they went on, if you could find that clip, they went on with a weird diagram of how it happened, and Ellen's showing the people how it happened. Not like an emotional, how are you feeling, how are you holding up? It was a weird diagram of and then he went to the left and to the right. It was very strange to, look, what the hell's going on? This is a daytime show.
Together, Rogan and Kelly have created a kind of feedback loop that challenges how people usually see celebrity culture. And why that matters is because audiences are no longer content to just accept polished stories at face value. Their attention on these kinds of narratives has sparked a wave of curiosity and skepticism, with more people starting to ask how much of what they see is carefully managed PR versus genuine reality, and how authentic the kindness or public image of major entertainers really is. The idea of celebrities as flawless, untouchable icons is starting to feel less believable and more outdated, as people look for something more real, more complex, and less scripted. When messages like "be kind" start to look more like branding than lived behavior, they lose some of their meaning and start to feel like marketing, pushing audiences to think more critically about authenticity in a world shaped by filters and PR spin. And the key point is that this shift didn't come from loud public fights or viral feuds, but from steady analysis and skepticism that encourages people to slow down, question what they're seeing, and reflect instead of just scrolling past.
Lesbian
that should tell you
uniform.
something.
Yeah.
Like, that's an odd look with all those buttons. Like, why do you have so many wrist buttons?
It was given to her in Langley.
The only reason why you have that many wrist buttons if you're looking at clothesline somebody.
Yeah, look at her.
Marking
Look at her.
their neck.
Everyone says she looks so friendly. She looks friendly.
She does look very military.
Yeah, she's a militant woman.
With a very expensive watch.
She
too.
dealt with a lot of discrimination when it came out. It was very sad, but then she joined the CIA.
Her house got broken into while she was at home.
Really?
Yeah. She got a dope place in Montecito.
And they broke in while she was there.
Yeah.
And those people are still being tortured to this day.
Probably.
They're still in an underground jail.
Instead of fueling petty public spats, Rogan and Kelly showed that it's possible to question narratives, point out contradictions, and hold high-profile figures under scrutiny with intelligence and balance. Their approach made the discussion feel more thoughtful and substantial, even while it captured attention and sparked wide conversation. It wasn't about cheap drama. It was about cutting through the noise and pushing for clarity in how celebrity stories are shaped and believed. Looking ahead, this kind of scrutiny could have real ripple effects, as fans who once accepted polished images without question may start viewing other perfect public figures with more skepticism, shifting focus toward the gap between image and reality, and making it harder for carefully managed personas to go unchallenged. This may signal a broader cultural change where authenticity isn't just a buzzword but something people genuinely expect, which also helps explain why Ellen's image feels more fragile right now. As audiences grow tired of kindness as performance and start wanting something more real and human, in that sense, Rogan's outsider perspective and Kelly's investigative style represent more than one story. They reflect a wider reset in how people engage with celebrity culture, encouraging deeper thinking, less blind acceptance of PR, and a stronger demand for honesty behind the personas.
All people on Earth to be feeling sorry for herself, Ellen DeGeneres should not be on the list.
She should at least, but make a real apology and do it.
There's no apology. It's just woe is me. I was run out of Hollywood as she speaks from this grandiose stage on Netflix. Hello, you haven't been canceled if you are doing a Netflix special. She got $20 million for the one before this. I'm sure she's fine.
At the end of the day, this whole story is a reminder that in a world obsessed with image, the truth has a way of slipping through, especially when unexpected voices like Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly start asking harder questions. If Ellen's legacy takes a hit in the process, some may see it as part of a bigger shift, where comfort is replaced with closer scrutiny and polished stories are no longer taken at face value. It becomes less about tearing anyone down and more about looking past the surface until something more honest can be seen. So the next time someone is preaching kindness from a stage or screen, it's worth pausing and wondering what's happening behind it all, because sometimes the brightest smiles don't tell the full story, and in the end, authenticity will always matter more than any perfectly polished performance.